All right, software version 3.2.9 of EOS has been released, and so this video we're going to go over some of the updates in this release. First thing, these are the major improvements, then we'll go through some of the bug fixes. First one, fix for a few edge cases where we've got crashes in multi-console sessions. I run multi-console. I've not seen a problem with this yet, hence the word few edge cases. So they've increased stability with multi-console sessions. The next is improvements for the CSV exports, imports, and GTTF imports. There's been a lot of changes as far as what is exported in the data as well as data that's imported for people that use that feature. Also, the Gobo search menu added the Gobo wheel editor and patch attributes. And actually in 3.2.8, the prior release, there was also some work on Gobo search. The next is magic sheet options for command line, user number, and label. And the last one, other improvements and bug fixes. And in just a second, we'll do a demonstration of some of these features. Scrolling down, again, always read your cautions. This is nothing new, but it's talking about the lack of support now for etc net2, EDMX, draft, streaming ACN, AVAB, UDP, and such. Here's the affected products. And we can scroll down here. This is all the same from times prior. So let's take a look at the corrected issues. I've highlighted some. You can read through all of these, just see what jumps out for you. I highlighted two here that I've actually seen. First is fixture library. If a fixture has a saturation parameter but no hue parameter, running the hue sat effect will crash. And so, crash, big deal. So we call that out. The other thing here I'll call out is pixel maps don't update properly after changing the type to a multi-cell. So say you have a fixture that has both a multi-cell fixture type and a non-multi-cell fixture type. When you go from non-multi-cell to multi-cell, the pixel maps don't work properly after you do that change. That has been resolved as well. Also, skimming through these, you can see here's the CBS imports and export changes. Things like support for port and address mapping for DMX and streaming ACN, as well as minor cosmetic thing. The new CSV export column titles are now all caps for all fields. Also on the import pixel map layout, creation size ignores pixel scale, and also import pixel map label and size and targets. So some changes there. They're making some improvements. A lot more people are using some automation for importing and exporting via CSV. It may have been in a prior version. They also, I believe, have addressed the thing that now when you export CSVs, you'll also see things like alert time is now one of the fields that will come out for queues. I don't see that listed here, but I think that was on an earlier release. But general updates to the system. I really like how ETC is really staying on top of keeping these things released and up to date. And you can see here released 8.28. And then as always, availability, etc connect.com/EOS-software is where you should download it from. There is some download instructions. I'll link the instructions up above. People have more success when following this versus just downloading and running the executable. Also important, I'll just call this out here because I've seen some problems regarding fixture library updates. When you run this properly, it should update the fixture libraries to the latest 3.2.9 version, but if it doesn't, you can follow this link to download the fixture libraries and update your fixture libraries. You never want to update beyond your release, so if it's 3.2.9, then you can install a 3.2.9 point something update. Also, sometimes the software includes firmware updates. Certainly depends on what version you're upgrading from and to and the hardware you have. But under see the ECU settings, maintenance, and firmware update to see if there's updates that apply to your hardware. Also, as always, there's some special notes for Mac OS users. QR codes for user manual, troubleshooting, and the resource hub. And then it shows all of our prior updates here, going all back to the beginning of 3.2.0. I hope this information is helpful. What we're going to do is we're going to jump into a demo of some of these changes right now. Okay, so here in Patch, we're going to talk about the new Gobo search selection. So I've got right here some Chauvet Maverick Mark I spots. Here in Patch, I'll go to Attributes. Under Attributes, you can see our Gobo Select. So I can click on that, and you can see that that's been defined as Chauvet Gobo Wheel 69. And what I can do is I can copy that, for example, and I'll hit L for label, and we're going to call this let's call this a custom wheel, and this is what we're going to modify here for this fixture. And so what I can do here is I can click on any one of these, and you can see the Chauvet catalog by default. But let's just say I was throwing in a Roscoe one. I can just type in here into the top Roscoe, and under that you can see I can select the vendor Roscoe, and then I've got all of the Roscoe Gobos available. However, you could also go by the name of the Gobo. If it's got a name like Roscoe, actually has the Gobo named Slick, or if it was a numbered one, I can go like 001, for example, and you can see all the vendors that have 001. So here we've got a ProLight 001, which is their stars, or the Roscoe, the 71001 is the breakup. And so I can select on any one of these now, and it swaps that Gobo out. Say I was swapping out the actual Gobos within the fixture. So that's the way the new search works. You can search by manufacturer. You can search by the label, if there is a label, or by the number. So I can do star, and we can see all the stars that are out there. But often you've already got the Gobo, and you're just trying to make a custom palette. So you're not going to be searching by names. You're actually going to be, you'll have your Gobo by vendor, and this is how you insert that into your custom Gobo wheel. I'll click done. And so now when I go into this fixture, and so I'll say channel 1, and now when we bring up the ML controls, you can see that instead of the defaults, I'll show you the defaults here real quick, which is we have our sailboat and our wavy bar. On fixture 1, where we have the custom Gobo wheel, you'll see we have the 50s breakup, and then the Gobo 2, which is the red stars there. And there you go. And now we're going to talk about the new Magic Sheet options for command line, user, and label. So to start off here, we'll go into setup here just so you can see how we've got this set up. So under users, I've got 2 users, user 1 and user 2, and one is the programmer and the other is the designer. And you can see down here we're in user 1 in offline mode. So what I'll do is I'll edit this Magic Sheet, and I'll drag 2 command lines into view here. And by default, it's already going to assign the targets for that to be user 1 and user 2. And then under user label, so by default here you'd see that it has the command line but no other data. So I can grab both of those and go under user label, and now I can have either left aligned or right aligned the user ID, the user label, or both the user ID and label. So I can select that. And so now we can see both what the programmer is doing. So as I do something here in user 1, I can do channel 1 at full, and you see that post there. And while we're not set up with a multi-console right now, if the designer was doing something there, you would see that input going in there. So you can keep track, and it's just a quality of life improvement so you can see who is doing what. You could do something as simple as just the ID number to keep things smaller and cleaner. And if it was me and I was doing something with labels with the full label, I'd probably do it on the right side, just so that way the command prompt is left aligned and the label is right. But that is what's nice is it's completely up to you on how that is set up. And with that, that wraps up all the demos that we're going to do here within the update 3.2.9 of EOS. Go ahead and download it and give it a try.